We're going to go ahead and let them sound of Kato Sarama talk with y'all a little bit. We're going to try to move on, see how we can make sure we get to where we need to be at the end of the day. I know that at the end of the day, our destination is to get back with Yahuwah. Ain't that right? Recover our status, get our understanding back. We lost a lot of it through all the different voyages we've been through, from captivity to captivity, from drop off to drop off, from mixture to mixture, people and culture. But in these last year, Mr. Yahuwah definitely calling us back to start to try to reconcile. And for reconciling and making sure we go back to get our roots and look at where everything kind of distinguished from. You know, every culture got their roots, but our roots are the ones that everybody seem to act like it's non-existent. You know, you can go to school, you can learn any foreign language, French, German, Spanish. Nobody teaches African. The Cuba language is never being taught. It's never being pushed, not promoted. It looks like it's not even needed yet. All your resources, everything you got in the world, pretty much they use it, come from Africa. These cell phones, everything they need come from Africa. Why wouldn't you teach people how to speak African? That's how insignificant we have become in society today, and, you know, ignored. You know, our pain, our suffering, our captivity, our abuses is ignored. You know, everything take precedence over us. The Ukrainians, everybody's sending billions of dollars, and people want to know, you know, how we feel about it. I mean, how do you feel? You look at it, you've been beaten, you've been bombed, you've been shared, your home's being destroyed, your neighborhood, they talking about no electricity. We got people, our own ethnic group, send him with no electricity. And it's a matter of, you know, just how they do the economics. And that's just the dangerous, detrimental to people sitting in Ukraine when a bomb hit and they're trying to rush to get their power back on. What about the people in low-income housing? I mean, me and Dwayne I had to go today and, I don't know, I had to go look at some property today, so repairing of some people's homes and just looking at how people live in the state that people living in. One property I went to look at today, I mean, it was just almost heartbreaking. The lady living in the house, I mean, you just stick your hand through the house at any time you want, any way you want. Anything can walk in the house, under the house, through the house, side the house. The whole bathtub done fell through the floor, broke all the plumbing. So she had to go to a neighbor house to get water just to take a bath and whatever she can. And I mean, she got trash piled all the way up in here. This is a Caucasian woman, and nowhere to go, nobody to help her to do nothing. And she was telling me she was sitting at a table. She said a snake was sitting there beside. She said, about that big around, about that long. She said, you go in and say, I said, no, I'm not interested. I said, did you kill it? She said, no, I threw something at it and it went back under the cavity and I guess went on outside. She guessed. She had a sack of potatoes outside. She said, the rats put them out there. I said, a sack of potatoes. It's got a lot going on in here. But just, you know, at the end of the day, it was just heartbreaking looking at how people have to live. And other Caucasian guys seen him, you know, he just about wanted to cry, tell me it wasn't my problem. I said, no, you know, you're going through it. You know, I'm patient to hear what you're saying, but just looking at how people being treated all over the world. Right here, while they trying to help people over there, you got people right here, white and black. You know, unfortunately, the status and state they was in is a state we've been in since we've been here. You know, people don't realize, I grew up in my grandfather's stayed with him in the summer. They had the wooden house, had little holes in the floor, and I remember sometime a snake would fall down through the fireplace. You'd get a snake in there every night. You ain't never get no snake in the house when you were growing up? In the other house, yeah. I remember one down there had snakes in it. They just tell us, they would get us out of there. Those snakes come in the house, you get them in that period, they'll drop down through there. They'll just tell the kids, get back in the back room. They call my granddad and dad to kill it. My granddad come in and kill the snake and throw it out and that just be it, you know. And, you know, I can see these people, it look normal to people like this is the normal way to live, but, you know, this is where we at today in what they call a civilized society. And yet they'll let the people, you know, if you're poor and white, that's equivalent to being black. If you're black, that's equivalent, I don't know. It's hard to be equivalent. Unfortunately, anything they'll equate to us is going to be almost to the lowest standard of anything. They put it in a category with us. If you're Hispanic, they put you with us, you're going to be on the poor end. You ain't going to be on a well-to-do, middle-aged standard. Anything they'll say with us, look at homosexual, they're going to put them with us. Anything that's of a low caliber, the world look at, detestable, or look at it wrong, or look like it stole their way in. I said, well, put it with the black people. And then people try to figure out what our problem is about our situation. is the fact that our situation has gone on too long. You know, white America would never understand the plight that we actually fight out here and what we're trying to do and trying to recover ourselves or even distincting ourselves in separation. It's not separation from people, it's just separation from the governmental rule over us. That's the problem we have. You know, I'm a strong proponent for that. I just feel like we're just a better off people if we govern ourselves. I think it's just bottom line. We've tried everybody's governed over us, it hadn't worked. People governed over us in Babylon, it didn't work. They governed over us in Pyra, that they call Iran today. That didn't work. Everywhere we've been governed over, it's never worked for us. It didn't work in Mizraim. It's never worked where anybody that's governed over us that it ever worked out to our full benefit. And, you know, other nationality, other ethnic groups might feel like it's okay because they're not the people being dominated by them. But this is a real issue with us, and this is a real cause that has to be repaired. You know, when you look at our people as a whole, a lot of our people have issues with believing the book simply because of the people that hand it to them. You know, you look at the writings of the scripting of it, it's in English, so of course for white Americans, it's easy to them to accept it. But when you go back and you say, well, what did he originally say in the language he's speaking in? Because any time you deal with a translation of something, you're going to lose something. You know, it might be argumentative to some, but you do. And it's important for us to be able to go back and root back to where things come from. You know, just like with white America, they always got old English. We don't have old African. We don't have new African. We don't have middle-aged African. We don't have anything. Anything we have to resort back to, the only thing we got is English. You know, that's just, you know, and people don't find it's a problem, but it's an identity problem. When it comes down, when you out here and you're trying to survive and you're trying to make it, when you don't have an identity, it's a constant fight. You know, for other races, it can seem like it's okay, but nobody understands the plight or the fight that all of us have gone through. Even with Spaniards, you know, you've been captured, been taken, and then you've been moved around, you've been mixed and mingled, then you dropped off in one island and some dropped in another island. I mean, and then you got all these different ethnic groups as well that's fighting one another, and they come in, they race mix us, and then the fight is just there, and it's just reality for us. Do y'all understand that? It's a reality that what we live in America is not fair. And then you have to go back to really ask yourself, who was America built for? For us in America, and what we know about America was never a place of liberty. America was a place of punishment. America was a place of destruction and murder for us, and it's been that way ever since we've been here. When we learned about America from the writing, we were told we were going to be here, we were going to be sold, and that our life was going to hang in doubt. He said we were going to wood the Elohim, it was day when it was night, and when it was night, we were going to wood the Elohim, it was day. And he said we were going to have no surety of our life. You know, that's the reality. That, you know, no other race can understand the plight of when you go out and you meet a man in a uniform in a car with a badge, it can very well end out to your last day on the earth. From a speeding ticket to a broken headlight to crossing the line to any little thing it might be, it could just end out in that confrontation to where you don't get a ticket, you get a bullet. Or you could be arrested, and that's the end of your life. A lot of people don't realize when the police arrest you, that changes the dynamic. Depending on your job, you could be terminated. Depending on how long you sit in jail, you might wind up losing your car. With the rates they charge to tow your car, when the police tow it, you start off about $185, and you've been hit about $45 a day. You sitting there about 2 good weeks, you're done. The averagers can't borrow it. A lot of averagers in trouble. You got to go get paperwork and go get release form, and by the time you get back, it's another charge. You got to try to borrow money to get it, and then you still got the note coming up and the insurance. Then you try to get it the next time. A lot of people lost their. It's just that situation. A lot of people don't look at it that way, but America has not been fair to us, and we're not going to live a lie and act like it has been. We're not going to cover up and act like, you know, they haven't been involved and haven't been the cause of the indifferences that we have when it comes down to reading the book, and why you have to be leery of. It's just like the scenario when I gave y'all about the dog. When you put a dog down and you constantly keep hitting that dog, when you put down some food, don't you know I'm going to have to be leery the next time I go down and eat it? Because every time I bent down, you struck me. Every time I went and thought I had security, you taking it from me. So when you hand me something, you got to just come to grips with, I'm going to be leery of you. Because everything we ever got is always had some other connotation to it. I'm a believer in Elohim's Debar. There's nothing superior over it, but I just have to look at the handlers. When you look at the handlers, you got to look at what were their intent. Anytime you look at writers, you always look at writers, you learn that you want to look at their intent. Writers, you typically have styles. A lot of people that read books, they'll read certain classes of books, or they'll read certain authors more than others because they learn their styles. They learn to kind of configure what they're doing in their writing. Some people just read. Certain people pick certain artists because they say, I understand authors, because they look at your writing style, I understand. You got it? And for us, when you start to look at, we take a book that is to teach us how we are to live and how we are to halak. And when doing that, you got to understand, when we fulfill that, that's going to give us our breakthrough to break away. And they knew that when they gave it to us. So you have to look at the impressions of the people that gave it to us, or what's the intent of it. You know, we would love to be able to live in a world where you could just take something and pick it up and read it at face value, and that's what it means. But when the people that we are and what we deal with, and it's never over. If it's not happening to you right now, it's happening to somebody that look like you right now. And that's a fact. All over the world, somebody that look like you are suffering because of people that look like the people who wrote the book. You don't ever find, this amazing, you don't ever find any writings, no writings of the book, where anybody of this color skin has written it. And see, people don't have a problem believing it because white people wrote it. Why we don't have no writers that we wrote? Why we don't have quote-unquote black historians that wrote it? Everything we get that we have to believe doesn't come from us. At some point, you have to just look at reality. That's scary. That everything you get, everything you have to believe, comes from somebody that don't look like you. The Chinese people would never let me sit down with my black skin and set them down and write a book on Chinese history. And it'll never be accepted. They would never let me write a book on Chinese culture, Chinese way of living, and Chinese religion, where it come from, when it started, and how Chinese people got in their situation. They would never accept it. The Germans would never let me write a book about them. The Russians, the Italians, no one else. Why is it that we're the only people who have to sit down and we have to kowtow to every book that's written by whites? It's unacceptable. And when you come down, you look at it, the truth is the truth. No one can disannul the truth. The truth is the truth of how we have to live. But we also have to come back and look at culturally how things have been established and why we're in the disarray that we're in. Our people, and I'm a believer that people of color can live right. It's just the fact you have to get them to a point to where they see exactly how things have happened and exactly how things have been put together and where they have to be at. And it's hard for them to get it when you look at all of your source information is only coming from one race. And my hope, my expectation, my call is for people, everybody to be able to get together, but everyone has to be able to have a comfort level to be able to be assured that we're all on the same playing field. And that's just something America has not allowed us to be in. Europe has not allowed us to be in it. No one has allowed us to be in it. The Middle East has not allowed us to be into it. That we need to be able to substantiate what we have and be able to source ourselves back to. Every writer we source back to, none of them are people of color. And people say it's racism. It's racism when they look at it for us being non-accepted because it's not them, it's us. It's only one group of people that can't source anything back from their writers. That's us. So now when we take the book, we have to look at the book, we have to examine the book, we have to base it off of pattern of behavior. Clean living is always the pattern of what we're trying to look at and what we're trying to do. At the same time, we're trying to root back to what makes sense, even with going back to the fathers, Abraham, Yitzchak, Jacob. I mean, we have to be able to source back to them. Two ways we look at that. We look at it from birthright, we look at it from amunah, that they'll call faith. So when we go back and we look and we use these words, we use them because we're actually trying to make sure we get back to what was the conversation. When you start to look at when Yahuwah established this place and when he got down to the first man, till he got down to the people he established his covenant with, what was the conversation? How do we source back? And it's there. If it wasn't, they wouldn't keep it. Everybody that we've been in captivity with have kept some of our writings. From Iran to Babylon to all these different places we talked about in the book of what was it, Azara. I think it was in Azara. We talked about how when they went back to build a wall, they went back to build it back, and they wanted to certify the people's names. They wanted the names of the people that that was building the wall. When it came down to that situation, the issue became that they went back and they inquired from the books that they kept, not books we had. Now, if it was a book of ours concerning things about us, we should have had the book. But everyone has kept information that entails us or details more about us and our history about what we're doing. The so-called Negro race is in such a disarray. And a lot of his disarray is because of his situation. His situation is never acknowledged. It's never, you might have empathy to say it's wrong, but we never get the empathy where let's correct it. For years, for the so-called Negro, and there's a reason why a lot of them are unaccepted of any type of religion. We have a lot of our people that are what we call, quote unquote, African American. And we know there are other different, groups of them, but I'm talking about, people in general. The fact is, for them accepting religion is the fact of, to them, I can understand them saying it doesn't make sense when you look at the situation of how things are done to them, and then you tell them to pray to someone that looks like the person that did their situation. That's in itself, and I looked at it for years. I said, well, to me it was a cop-out. I said, well, for people it's a cop-out. The word is the word, just accept the word for what the word is. But yet, you're not really conscious, or you're not really truthful with yourself. You don't realize you can pray right now, and if you're about to be homeless and you're still homeless, what is your conclusion about your prayer? If you pray right now about your situation earnestly, as much as you could put in it, as honest as you could be about it, that your situation doesn't happen, then it happens. What happens? What's your resolve? It's like, what's the point in believing? Now, I'm not telling you where I'm at, but let's just be practical where people are. And it's because you have to look at the dynamics of how things have been structured for years against our people. And doing this the way it's been structured, it's kept a lot of people from believing. Now it's coming back to sit down and get people to look at. Let's sit down and let's be practical about where we are, about how things originated, and then let's fix it. Being sympathetic to doesn't help. We need cure. We need remedy. People don't realize that's the purpose of going to court. If I stole something from you and you can prove that I stole it, that court system is set up to do something that's called remedy in a sense. People don't realize it's a remedy. The remedy is if I stole something from him to have that replaced, then there should be some type of punishment toward me. That's recourse and remedy. That's basically what they do. They don't tell you. That's all this is remedy. The remedy is I need to be arrested. I need to be probation. Monies need to be paid back for the goods, whatever the courts want to be paid back. Everybody want what they call restitution to try to make sure that this situation is resolved. In the 18th chapter, I think it is, in the book of Oriel, I think Yahushua talked about there was a shafet, a judge, and how this man didn't regard Elohim, nor did he regard man. But this woman kept trying to cry out to him concerning a remedy. He said, though he didn't fear Elohim, nor did he regard man, he said he was going to avenge this woman lest she weary him. And he left that on there to let us know what we had to do in order to get this resolve we're trying to get. We have to get to a situation where we worry him enough that he will answer and defend for us. But I think what happens for the average of us, we don't really consider the magnitude of our situation and how long it's gone on. When you've been doing something, even if you look in the book of Cuff, I think it is Beth Cuff, they call it 2 Peter, the 3rd chapter, when he talked about how since the fathers had fallen asleep, he said all things continued the same. But Cuff talked about them being ignorant of. So you can look at people looking at if something happens against you negative for so long of a time, it can really dampen the way you actually believe something. And these were people that knew it. He talked about these people looked at nothing's changed. And this is before our time period. These people looked at absolutely nothing had changed since the fathers had fallen asleep. everybody is looking for something. That's why I think all these different cultures make some type of deity or God, because everybody's looking for something. But at the end of the day, we try and look for what's true, what's the amount at the end of the day. And establishing that is a thing where it takes detail of studying, looking, trying to configure, putting things together. Look, because you're dealing with so many writings that so many people's hands have touched, so many people's hands have handled, and so many people have dealt with. And then even with what they had, it was a matter of him coming in and trying to explain to them the logic to what they were reading. So when Yahushua was on the scene, we didn't deal with him having to come in saying, your writings have been flawed. Somebody has damaged your writings. Their whole thing was their understanding about certain situations of the writings. And where we're at is looking at damaging of writings that were given to us, and then damage of how we look at the writings. Because all these things play a part when you start to look at it. What we will focus on is our making sure that we line up exactly how we're supposed to do in our living. It's our confidence that Elohim will be our Nakah, which we'll look at our guide or our leader. We know some of these words will still interchange with English words in time in some of them, but it's important for us to get back to understand the language, because if this is a language he spoke, I want to know it. I want to know what the truth is at the end of the day. And that's the goal with doing that. We don't teach hate or race, we teach hate or wrong. If it's black is wrong, if it's white is wrong, if it's Asian is wrong, if it's Hispanic is wrong, if it's whatever it is, if it's wrong, it's just wrong. And the end of the day is going through looking at where we're at, because in order for us to get this amount that we're seeking, we got to make sure we're where we need to be. A lot of people have erred, a lot of people have gone wrong, a lot of people have gone astray from the book, and the intent not being genuine. Our goal is to make sure whatever we're doing is our intent is genuine. And being genuine, that's being real in everything we're doing. Our salvation supersedes, override everything. When I tell people I'm in the liberation for my people religiously, that's for the people that's of the Amunah. We need it. But to be honest, we need these other people as well. We need these other races or other people that are so-called black as well with us in order to do it. We understand what their oppression is. At the same time, we understand what our end is. Our end is to get ourselves delivered from the Ruachni, spiritually first, and then we're trying to live ourselves as well from the physical of what we deal with, because I believe it plays a major part. I mean, even with finances, when you're broke, I'm talking about broke, people can say what they want to, that will challenge you a lot of times more than it will or what you're trying to obtain the Ruach HaKodesh. And I think that has put us, not just here, but in here, people watching too, it has put people at a disadvantage when it comes to seeking salvation. When you sit around, you ain't got a dime in your pocket, and you got bills lingering over your head, and you got stuff crushing, you can talk about salvation. Reality is, I'm broke right now. That's a reality for people. And for it not to be ignored, to say it can be covered with some quote-unquote spiritual words is almost ludicrous in a sense, because people are not there. We're dealing with a person that's biological, first, that you're trying to get to think on a Ruachni platform. And if you can't address them on that end as well, you'll lose them. You'll lose them. No book going to save them till they get into practicality. They have to know that Elohim is concerned. When he told us about Yahushua, he said we had not a Rosh Kohan that could do not what now? Wow. Now, why would it that a man that came from Elohim, the Ben of Elohim, and we know that Elohim is a Ruach first. We know nothing about him being a man. Him being described as a man. He's also described as effeminate. But we're looking at a man that came out from him. And it was important that man bear the same attributes we had, who could feel our infirmities. That's why he can have compassion on somebody sick. Why he just didn't tell the woman that was bleeding, listen, keep your head up. After a while, all this is going to be over. You're going to be in the Malkut. Just listen to what I'm preaching. Why he just didn't preach the people that were hungry? Because he told them when he was on the heart, how he said man live. It didn't make sense for him to feed them people then. All he had to do was give them the word. But he did say not alone. We understand that. But if you're going to teach something, you got to get people to understand that you can feel the natural part of what they're dealing with. That only makes sense because you're trying to get people to hold on and to cling to something that you're waiting on while you're dealing with something now. So the only way to get them to get to that point, for me looking, is you have to be able to let people know, I understand. And I understand in the end of, let's get remedy. People have heard for years, praying for you. Be encouraged. Hold on. With no remedy. With no remedy. No remedy in sight. You don't typically get people saying, let's get some money together, let's fix that situation so we can get you focused back on Ruachni. Let's get an answer to your situation so we can get you focused on Ruachni. To me, separation of governments where let people rule so people can see their defects and faults. Let's see how much you care for yourself. Because the so-called Negro had put a lot of his responsibility on the Caucasian man or what's owed to him. And I think if he sat under himself and he ruled, he could see for himself where his downfall at. Just how much effort it takes and what he needs to do for himself. That's just being honest. When our people came out from Mizraim, you saw what they wanted to do. What did they want to do? Go back. Because people realize responsibility. So when you're crying, you ask for something, you also got to remember how much responsibility is involved. That's on your end. How much we played a part in our derision to put us in this situation. Our forefathers played a part. And we're suffering because the word went forth of where we were going to go and what was going to happen. And we living just like that right now. Your life hanging down. You actually deal with that today. You have no surety to your life. And nobody will give you one. There isn't one. Because the word that come out to proving itself just like it is. At the end of the day, we still have to embrace salvation. So you have to really look at weighing all of your situation, the whole cause of what you're doing, and you still got to entail salvation. Now that's a fight. That's a fight. And a lot of people give up and a lot of people quit. I'm not discouraged about my plight and my salvation. Nothing turns me from that. Because I'm a person determined to do what I have to do. But at the same time, you have to be realistic about what your people suffer and what people go through. And all the so-called Negro had ever got his whole life, that's tight, or that's tough, or I couldn't imagine, I can't understand. That's not answers for us. We need resolution. And the resolution we need is Ruachni, and we need to see it happen for us naturally. Just like with Yahuwah, when he delivered us, there's no way they could have understood salvation had they stayed in Mizraim. They wouldn't have. They understood deliverance as being completely separated. Now, what I'm saying now, we translating around how to live in a place without being consumed by a place. Now, you can live around your own people and still be in a situation where you're in complete destruction. Just total wrong, and we dealt that among ourselves. We left from Jerusalem. Those were not white people influences. Those were detriments we did to ourselves. So it is important that we sit down and we figure out the complexity of all the things we got, how much we played, how much our fathers played, how much we've lingered while we've been here, how much playing we've done while we've been here. And it has played a major, vital part to the situation we're in now. When he told us he was going to take sickness from among us, how did they get here? Said Qatar? Based off of what? What did he say? He did. He told us about if we continue Qatar, or we committed it. He said, I put all the plagues on you, I put on you in Mizraim. So that was a warning for us to look at. We can see where we are going backwards. We have a people going backward. We're dealing with two sets of people. We're dealing with a set of people when we look at the writings of people who had the initial connection to him. Then we got the people that he grafted in. So we're dealing with two sets of people. To the people that had initial connection to him, we got a lot of work to do. Going back, looking at all the different points of where we fell short at. Where we fell short at. But it was purpose. It was purpose. The only way another Goyim was going to get in was through the fall. It was going to be through and by the fall of. So things happen. But now it's coming in now to do a shaking and to come in and look at, we got some corrective measures we got to do with our behavior, with our conversation, with our dress, with our ideology, everything. We got to look at it. This thing winding up. It's winding up. If you wait too long or you linger too long, you got a better chance on being on the outside than the inside. It's wrapping up on all of us. And it's time for everybody to do self-examination, look at where you're at, and it's time to make sure where you need to be, because the man is soon to come back here. How long is he going to continue to wait on all of us? Me, you, whoever else, and what we're doing. How long are you going to continue to wait on? How much time we got? What y'all figure we got? You as the individual, how much time you got to get right? How much time you done had to get right? Then you got to ask yourself, why would he continue to linger? How long are he going to continue to sit here and wait on us? So it's important for us to sit down and really look at things and make sure we get this thing right. Y'all got it? Okay, all right. We're going to get ready to let them sound the Kato Sarah. Hopefully that young girl hadn't tuned in yet, Malcolm. What's that age group we looking around now? 55? All right. How low we going back? How far we going back? They're about low you going back. There's some nice 50s out there now. You don't want to give up too fast. Some 49s out there. Michael said he ain't trying to blow no butt vessel. Go with what you can handle. Woo! With everything going on. So y'all know we're looking at Romans 15:4. And we do periodically, we look at different different writings of whether the English, different versions of them, and look at this gentleman here on some things that he used, because I'm not 100% sold on them. But I look at all of them because we're trying to make sure we want to try to get back to a completeness. That's what I'm actually working to try to make sure we do. And we don't want to leave it, they said, no stones unturned when it come down to it. Whether if we find defects and error in something, then we learn where we're going to fix it, right? Let's look at some. We'll go ahead and read this. This is Romans 15:4. Listen.
For whatever Nikatab before.
So whatever was written before.
Nikatab to Lamadas.
It was written to teach us.
So that through endurance.
Going through without quitting.
And through the Nakum.
And through the comfort of the writings.
We might have Tikva.
That's what we're looking to try to make sure we have. That's our end. We're trying to get our connection to try to get back. And that's the only way we're going to really get it. I mean, to try to come back and look at it and see where we actually connect and where we fit in. I think for a lot of people of color, and it's true, for a lot of them, it felt like they didn't have a part in it. That's why a lot of people, years ago, I think kind of gave up, or people today give up. I think today, I remember probably when I was growing up back, maybe it was the way I thought about it, I think people of color maybe had a little bit more connection. They felt like, even though it was Christianity or church, I think they had more of a connection of trying to kind of get back or get some, or maybe back in my mother's time. But as time gone on, I think if people started to look at the situation they deal with and what happens on a daily basis, I think people just more or less just look at, what's the purpose at that point of holding on, or what's the purpose in believing? Nothing's changing. They ain't seen any difference. And I think some of that comes in with looking at self as well. Looking at self and how much part we've all played. Everybody played a part of this. And I think it's important for us to go back and look at and consider how things have kind of worked for us. I mean, you even look at Jacob. I mean, he broke away when it came down from Laban. He escaped from Laban. He saw when he was among Laban, didn't work out for him. He saw it was not working out for him, and he broke away from him. He left him. He looked at it was time for him to get away. He had been cheated. He had been lied to. He had been deceived. And he looked at it and made no sense to continue to stay there. And we know Yahuwah came to him and he told him and let him know to go back to the place where he first appeared to him. And Jacob left for now. And when people look at the so-called Negro breaking away, look at our state. What's happened to us here. We've been lied, we've been cheated. Why should we stay? Why would we stay among them when we read that whatever was written aforetime was written to teach us and to give us comfort? What you think was going to happen to Yaakov had he stayed there? Was it just Yahuwah? If you think about it practically, you think it was just get him away from that then, or it was probably get him away from that because this eventually will break you. You can't get ahead. You can't win. If he give you the worst of, if you make it better, he's going to still come back and take that from you and say you defrauded him. These are the same issue we deal with. How you going to win like that? If I give you the worst of what I got and you get it better than what I got, I'm going to come back and say, you know what, you cheated me. How did I cheat you when you gave me the worst and I fixed it? And now you take it back. I have kids and wives, then you come and say, they're your kids and wives. I'm never going to win with you. The whole conversations I took from you when you actually lied and cheated me. So if whatever was written aforetime was written for our learning and to give us patience to go through, then we have to believe, or we have to amend that Yahuwah actually is going to come back and he's going to reward these people till we fix this situation. What is the purpose of us believing if he's not going to come back and do restitution as he's done before? We're waiting on you that he come and let them know, don't do us anything. Don't say nothing to us, whether it's against us or whatever. Just don't do it. But it hadn't happened yet. We have to come and repair our situation. We got to fix our relationship with the Creator. We got to fix our relationship with one another. Just as human beings, I think people in general are just rotten. I think people in general are just rotten. Everybody's rotten. We just have rotten people. People don't have empathy. People don't have care for one another. Again, not feeling sorry for somebody. Anybody can do that because you don't have to come out your pocket. It's not an expense. You don't have to put your hands to something. You don't have to fix something. You don't have to put time into it. So to say, I feel sorry for you is so cheap and inexpensive. Versus if we actually had to come out of our pockets and we actually had to put our hands to do to help one another, it'd be a whole lot better. And we need that. And sometimes it might just start with people. Everybody just like they said, sweep around your own front door. Everybody go fix your problem. Everybody fix your problem. So we can fix it as a race. That's just been so we can fix it as all the goyim coming together to fix it. Out of every one of these goyim, these nations, don't y'all know he's gonna take some people from them? Every one of them. It won't be a race that'll be excluded. He's not gonna take some of these people from it. But we got to get back to practicality of what we need to do for ourselves first. We need to fix our relationship. We need to make sure we're honest about what we're doing and how we're living. That's just being honest, and we cannot be ignored. Our issues cannot be ignored, nor can they be forgotten, nor can they be overlooked. Overlook your own condition. Overlook your own problem. America ain't never overlooked none of their problems. They fix them. If there's something they got, they're going to fix it. We're the only people they let us sit down, drown, starve, get sick and die, and nobody come to the rescue. But if it's a white face, whatever it is, a kid or whatever, we're going to get in there, they're going to fix it. We're going to come put hands, we're going to get water to it, we're going to drive trucks, we're going to put on suits and come and fight. No one come and do anything but fight us. I always saying we don't want to be ignored anymore. We refuse to be ignored. Our problem had gone on too long, and it's our own fault that we've sat down and we kept thinking that someone in the poll, if we go to the poll, is going to fix it. We can't keep allowing that to happen. These are problems we have to come to reality for ourselves. Right? These are problems we got to fix. And that's it. I mean, who else going to do it? No, we don't wait on what other nation on their way over here? Where they at? I ain't seen them. Y'all seen African ships out there coming? Y'all seen Chinese ship, Russian ship? What ship? Y'all seen UN peacekeeper coming on here to see what's going on with us? No, sir. Who gonna fix it? Hello? Who did it for Shamshun? That's all I'm saying. Whatever written for time, at that point we got to fix it ourselves. Our own people tied him up and took him down there, and they blame him for the situation. So at some point we had to start looking at taking responsibility, looking at this is a problem we got to fix ourselves. And I get on our so-called men. God been with y'all. They're starting in here and going out there. Y'all lazy. Y'all are lazy men. Lazy. Y'all as a whole, ain't everyone lazy, unproductive. Y'all drag too long, take y'all too long. Never seen it before in my life. I don't wait on nobody to do nothing for me. I can't wait on nobody to do nothing. I got to do it myself. I just cannot afford to. Let me tell you something. I come from a different breed of stock we came along. There's a lot of stuff we couldn't wait on nobody to do nothing. He had to do it. I learned from my dad. It take too long to come again. You was a minute late, here we go walking off. He wasn't waiting on him. I told my uncle came to pick him up. He rode up the street. My dad cussed him out, told him, get the blank on. He came to me, he said, man, he called my daddy Cap. He said, man, I went to see Cap. I told Cap, I said, Cap, I'm just 2 minutes late. My dad said, man, keep going. I don't need you. Took off, rode the bus. Well, he said, you going well? My dad said, I rather wait on the bus. I told you what time to be here, you come. I don't need you, keep going. I said, that's pretty tight. Ain't nothing I can tell you about that, because you talking to the wrong person. I go talk to him, he gonna kill me. He told you to keep going. I know they gonna do to me. There's a death sentence. I'll be the last person to talk to him. That's just how he stood. Now, some people could look at, well, that's kind of stupid. He had to wait the bus. He'd have got there faster. But for him, in his own mind, that was the principle I had. You know, a lot of things I looked at my dad, things he did. I would have definitely done a lot of things different than he would have done it. And that would have been because of 2 reasons. One, I grew up in a different era than he did. So a lot of things that looked like for our older parents that they did were dumb, or like it was kind of stupid, and now more intelligence in. They dealt with things from a more simple end. When people gave you something to do, they expected you to do it. When they came, that was it. Did you get any things your parents expected you to do? Or cook, or wash, or was there anything they gave you that you had to do that they expected you to do it? What was it? You know? Rudy! No, Miss Mom. I mean, whatever. They might have gave you whatever. Yeah, chore, they gave you something to do. If it was slop halls or whatever it was they gave you, that was yours. Was that something? What was it? Something? What was it? I don't remember. Was it one thing or more than one thing?
More than one thing.
And you had to do it.
Yeah.
What happened if you didn't do it?
Well, you got a whooping for it.
That's it. They beat you because they were counting you to do it. And with that, what she's saying she's doing, which is natural, don't y'all know Yahuwah chastised us because we hadn't done what we supposed to do. Yes, Yahoo said they have not all obeyed. What happened when you came along and your mom and dad said you didn't obey something they told you? They said, well, Beulah, you didn't obey what I told you. Do better. They were taught what did they do?
Go upside your head.
You hear that? She said, go upside her head. And, you know, I mean, to me, I criticize a lot of the things that people in our older generations did, how they did. You know how strict they were about beating you and chastising you? But let's be practical. Your law is like that. You know that's how your law was. You were caught picking up sticks. Well, nobody praying for you, having no conversation with you, kill you. That was a law. You was expected to keep it. If you broke it, you violated it, you were supposed to die. When Mushak gave it to her, he said the man that does these things, he said he's going to live bound. Once you attach yourself to it, you said you were going to do it, death was the sentence to you. That was it. When we go back, and let's be honest, I criticized the law. I didn't verbally criticize it. I never had a conversation with anybody to criticize it. But in him, I looked at, wow. Now, I never opened my mouth to it or but I looked at to me just like, you know, because they used to say, you don't want to talk against God. You don't want to, you know, Kevin, you didn't. But being practical, you look and say, that's kind of tight, isn't it? You just kill somebody for that. And a lot of times you look at it because you look at what you were doing. And you look at he could kill somebody like he did, you know, that hard, that strenuous, or being that strenuous, it could happen to you too. So of course you won't recon for somebody else when you consider you yourself in the same situation. That's a good thing. How many of y'all here committed fornication before? All y'all ain't got to raise your hand because some of y'all done told your kids you were virgin, so don't worry about it. You messed that up. Hold that lie and fix it later. That's one of them saved lives. But anyway, so, but with that happening, what was supposed to happen with the Torah? You might have put somebody to death a lot of time for these different things that we've done. But yet we weren't put to death. And now we see people get caught in these same factions. What do we say should happen? Thank you, Jahi, for being honest. Did you fornicate before? But see how quick we ready to institute it on somebody else. You got to think about it. Yasharal were people that executed judgment on people. Did y'all know that? Why would you have a name he ruled as Elohim? What was Elohim doing to people that broke it? Kill them. And what would Yasharal do? Have mercy on them, forgive them? Same thing. So it makes sense that Yasharal will fall himself into condemnation. And then Yasharal will be recovered. How would Yasharal look at somebody today who committed fornication? Based off of he fell. When he was the executor. Now he fell by some of the same ways that he executed other people. What would kind of be your way of looking at that situation? Huh? Yeah, you kind of want to look at it different. You can kind of see where a person can get caught up. You can see where a person could fall short. See, a lot of times we quit when we with Christians or even in Aubrey coming over to transfer, we sometimes forget where we fell from. We kind of quick to want to kill everybody, even the homosexuals or everybody else. And homosexual ain't the only act that's bad. I do detest child molester for the read, but a child molester, in his eyes, ain't no better nobody told one of them little safe lies. He said, child molester, little safe lie. He said, same thing. Kill both of them. We go, now that person just, I mean, it ain't that serious, you know what I'm saying? Because really ain't a lie to me. He said, I can only see it one way. Now, we either going to do it one way or the other. So we let the child molester live, and we let the little liar live. We let the little liar live because they ain't like they took nothing. They ain't beat nobody out nothing. But the child molester hurt a child, and that can go on. They could damage somebody. He said, so we kill both of them. I'm just trying to see where we ain't got to kill both of them. You see what I'm saying? And that's the way we'll kind of look at things. People look at it, homosexual, let's execute all of them and kill all of them. But then we let a fornicator get going. Because at least there's just a boy with a girl or a girl with a boy. You see what I'm saying? Or we'll be impartial like this. If it's our son fornicating, that ain't the same way as our daughter fornicating. Hold on, is that not true? We're going to overlook the boy more than we're going to overlook the girl. Because the boy don't get pregnant. His saying is, why we just can't look at both of them the same? Why we can't have one manner of law for everybody? And everybody just look at what's mandated, everybody just keep it. What our goal is, this lady is we want to be truthful with ourselves where we at. So that way we can get to where we got to go and where we got to be. We done procrastinated long enough, and we'll look at even when the people came before us. Look and see if that's all our hadabarim that they call Deuteronomy. And we look at these because if you even look at the name to the books, they play a significance to us because they're more or less, I guess, hadabarim. See if it's one, I don't know about 9. I'm trying not, this time for real, I'm trying to hold y'all long anyway. But, hold on, you good? Book, you just getting back. I mean, man, I've been out of service for 2 months with COVID. I never let my rod in. How many of y'all want to make it in the cool? Y'all, I wouldn't never do that. How many of y'all here who wouldn't do that? Look at that Boogie. Boogie can put up both of them. Good to see you, Boogie. But, again, we looking at things going back so we can try to recover. I guess when there's sometimes, like just say the Georgia and the Texas football game. You know, I'm sure you took them back and look at film. Because you definitely want to realize look at how somebody got 60-something points so you only got 7. Now, that's a corner thing, but that's film. That's film. Even running up to, did y'all look at film when you run from? Yes, you start looking at, because you might look at certain things you did in your run style, certain things. You need to go back. And guess what the book is? It's the same. This is film. What we're doing here, guess what we just found out? Guys, we lost. We ain't finna be in here pouring no champagne and dumping no Gatorade on ourselves. We finna go back through film. Did you see TCU dumping Gatorade on you? They said, that's for winners. Hey, well, admin, he said, preacher, what you did, you been the coach. I said, well, first of all, I said, I would have talked to him. I said, I would have talked to him and told him, we went out there, and you guys played your best. And when you play your best, all you can do is play your best. And the better person going to win. That does not make you less of a human being. It's a game. And when you go out there and you do the best you can do, and you've been outplayed, that's just the game. But y'all ain't get on that bus. Oh, this the game. You know what I'm saying? That's the game. This the bus. This bus don't ride no losers. They been feeling, I told them, y'all got that? Oh, no. I told them, man, no. Y'all ain't getting not on this bus. I don't know how y'all get to the airport. That ain't even my problem. I've been on the plane by myself. Me and the pilot, the coaches. What about that? Yeah, coach. So y'all don't think y'all getting on here. You the offensive coordinator, defense, and you will sit here and you let them win. You don't possibly think you get on there. I've been patting their pocket. They paid y'all. Who got paid? Man, I've been going through people's stuff. I was empty them locker. I've been looking for sacks of money this big. It's no way you lost a game like this. It's too critical. But, you know, that's how it is, just a game. I wouldn't let them come back next year. Anybody call me, ask me about them playing? I said, if I was you, I wouldn't let them play for my team. They're like, Cole, you believe it? Nobody want to pick us up. So I can't believe it. And I can't believe it. Amazing. How you say amazing? Isn't that right? Losers. I was just happy. Listen, if I'd have been a bad man, and I don't bet yet, I saw that one though. But I would have messed around and bet on that game, I'd have lost it. I'd have went too far. I'd have been up here and put too much out there, lost everything. And you know what my next message would have been? Everybody who gamble going to hell. Oh yeah, what you think I'm gonna tell you? I don't want no G words used on their property. I'm all, when I lose, listen, sore loser. Sore loser. If I'd have bet on that game and lost, everybody. Okay, this is all our hot dabarine. Matter of fact, let me see, what does Deuteronomy mean? I'm just curious. Let's see what it means. What the word? We know it said these are the words, all our hot dabarine. I'm just curious. No. I want you to look it up for him. No. I'm just curious what's the English Deuteronomy. I was just curious. What the word? I'm just curious. Since we're looking. Hold on, who back now? I was like, you know what? I'm like, Abraham, and you went to college. Don't worry about it. Deuteronomy. Deuteronomy. That's a, yeah, it's supposed to help you out. Here you go. That's a Deuteronomy. No, don't listen. We just want to see what the name means. Meaning. Okay, it showed you me. Okay, definitely, that's fine. Define. Okay. Let's see. The same Deuteronomy comes from the Septuagint Greek title for the book to Deuteronomy, Deuteronomy, meaning second law or repeated law, a name tied to one of the Abari appellations for the book, Mishnah Torah. Okay. Let's see, I didn't know that. Now let's look at what it says, what's the Abari meaning. I'm curious, are they the same? What you looking? Just type in. Do this. Just go up in the search engine or Google and put in Hebrew. Just put in Deuteronomy. Put in Hebrew lexicon. Lexicon linguistics. Just kind of go with languages. Mm-hmm. Probably go back and do. Well, no, that's not working. What you put in Deuteronomy definition meaning? Bible. What's this right here? Is this what it's saying? Well, it's gonna be davarim. Word plural, derived from the shortest deber, to speak. They put a devarim, words, plural. A plural noun that is derived from the, what's that? The shorish deber, which is to speak. How did they come with all our hot dabarim? These are the words. So what now? The first couple of words of the book. So put in all our hot dabarim was the meaning of, they put it in now. The first couple of words. So Deuteronomy, the Greek, is saying it's the hot dabarim. So the Greek said Deuteronomy means the second book. The second book. The Greek saying the second book. What did the Greek just say? The second. It was saying the second book. The second law, rather. Repeated law. They might say that from the 5th chapter of the book of Allah Dabarim. I think when he told him to go back up and he had to write it again. That's tight. What do we do? It don't give you the meaning now? Not in Google. See if it give you, just take the Allah. Because the Allah is saying these are the words of what they saying that supposed to mean. Allah being for these and the ha for the words. So Dabarim is just words. Okay. Oh, we up there. There we be. Okay, Dabarim just words. Okay, that's fine. And what did it say Deuteronomy mean? Let's just look. The second law was a little different. Okay, a second law, a repeated law. Let's see the 5th chapter of the book of Allah Dabarim. You look at it now. Let me see that's what I want. Let me see how I read from here in his writings. It could have went to the Septuagint. You know when we had the Septuagint and the okay, see if it's 5 and 1. I think of what I want. Let's see. Yeah. Okay. Read.
Then Mushah Yakra to all Yasharal and said to them, Shama, O Yasharal, the statutes and the ordinances which I am speaking this yom in your hearing, that you may lament them and observe to do them.
Okay. Come on.
Yahuwah, our all, made a berit with us at Koreb. Yahuwah did not make this berit with our Abel. Yahuwah spoke to you.
Is it the 10th chapter I'm thinking? Is it 10 and 1? Is it the 5th chapter? We went back up to writing. Let me say. Come on. No. Let me say. Is it down? He should have went up to write it again. 15 is the book. 10. That's a 10. 10. I just went over here and went. 10 and 1. All right. What happened? Listen.
At that time, Yahuwah said to me, cut out for yourself 2 tablets of a bond like the former ones, and come up to me on the har, and make an taba of wood for yourself. I shall katab on the tablets the dabarim that were on the former tablets which you shattered, and you shall put them in the taba.
So the Greeks are saying that they look at a second law or repeated law, and they're probably based off of this 10th chapter, which would make sense if that's why they're saying Deuteronomy, because it's the second time he would have gone back to write it after he had written it the first time. So I guess the issue becomes on what was the name of what they actually called it. So when you got somebody else scripting your stuff, for them they could have looked at it, well, we'll call it the second or repeated law, because he did go back to do it again. So I can understand where it would come from. But ours would be Deuteronomy as for debar or dabarim for words. And you put the Allah ha would be these the words. So when coming in and look at that, and we look at that based off of when Yahushua would have gone back in the 24th chapter of the book of Oriyah, when he just sat down and he told him how these are the words that I spake unto you while I was yet with you. How all of these things had to be fulfilled, which were written in the Taba or in the Torah of Mushah. So that, and going back, so a lot of these things will start to kind of recollect to our senses. It's when you deal with a lot of writing sometimes, things don't kind of spark for you, because you got to look at the culture of people that wrote it. For them, they're writing for themselves. They're not writing for us. That's another thing you look at. They're not writing for us. Y'all got it, even writing styles. We go from right to left. They go from left to right. And you look how they do things, and people say that's not as really as important, but you got to look at if that's the style of how they did things, it goes with a culture as well. You know what people don't realize? You know, they say if you start off right, you ain't gonna believe it. You should keep going right. So if you start out wrong, where you think you're gonna end up at? When people look at it going wrong, a lot of times you go back to the root of where it's at, then go back and look at where. How did you start out? This is being honest. It's simple. Like people might look at it simple, but when the writers wrote from that period of time or back, they went from right to left. Now we write from left to right. So I'm sure it plays some part of what they're doing. I think if you're trying to get people to look at, even when they look at them being yashal, upright, sort of makes sense in being upright, even when you look at people's posture or look at how you are when you build. So you have a lot of different things you can kind of play off of to get an understanding of making sure that you're right or upright. Y'all got it? When he told us how he made man? Upright. Even when you look at a man penis when he's young, upright. I mean, it's true though, the man penis. They do it, it's upright when he's young. So a different thing he look at that you can play off of so he can see that he has a pattern. You start to try to formulate patterns when you're trying to get people to live right. People can think it's as simple as just say a word or so. It's not. You have to have so many things around you that you see being formulated that you really get that understanding. You just don't see something or hear something and you just start to do it. There has to be a consistent pattern of things about you. Just like when he told us about how we should be just in our judgment. And with that, we still have prejudice. I'm not talking about prejudice of color. We have prejudice of what we like. So you think about a person in your house, you keeping everything in your house to the same measure. You know how much work that everything in your house, you can't have a half a cup of sugar and a pound of flour and 2 teaspoons of salt. You know what I'm saying? And 4 pounds of potato. If it's seed spice, everything needs to be at the same level. Can you understand what kind of work you got to do to make sure you keep things up? That's a lot of work. Because when something start going down, you need to get something back up. Well, he said, now you know how to judge. Because you know what I'm saying? You're balanced. You know what I'm saying? You learn how to balance, and you learn a balancing scale of how you got to keep things. And you start to learn an order about things. We've been going through life for years. And we've been trying to fathom in our mind or imagine in our mind how to get this thing right. But for them, there were things that were just practical that they saw on a basis to where it makes sense. They understand how you have to keep things. Like when he told them how about how they paid tithes and all these other things. And he said, you omitted the, wow, some things were heavy. And he told you how you should have kept what? Judgment, mercy, and peace. These you ought to have done. So you should have kept it even. You should have kept it balanced, like you're supposed to keep all your stuff in your house. Everything's supposed to have a just weight. You weren't supposed to have diverse weights in your house. All the weights are supposed to be the same, which is going to be the way you judge things at the same time. You come back. You had to be fair in everything you do. To be honest, we haven't, because we learned how to tip the scales based off what we like, based off who we want to try to appease, based off what we were trying to do. Now he's trying to get us back to a point. Let's go back and look at what I originally intent. You know what I'm saying? Because the day people come along trying to say what he meant, and it's not based off of culture. It's just being honest. A lot of things you have to base it as well off of culture. It's just like the so-called Indian people. People come up with a lot of things about them. They had a culture. It wasn't just about extincting them. They extinct the food. They extinct everything about them till they wind up taking the culture away from them. So now when you go and you see Indians, you go to South Dakota, people, man, them people be drunk. There ain't some drunk people outside. Those people had a culture. What you think they're going to do when you took their culture and their way of life from them? Some of these people belief were you only kill what you can use. It don't make sense to just go shoot something just to shoot it and leave it there because you want to cut some horns off of it. For them, if I cut it, I'll take the horns, I'll make a spear, I'll make a tip or something, I'll make an arrow tip from it. I'll take this hide and I'll build something, I'll make a saddle. You know what I'm saying? I'll take the meat, I'll cook the meat, I'll take certain other parts, I'll make medicine, I'll take the hooves, I'll do something, I'll pour the blood, the dump back into the ground. Because that's where it came from. I put it back into the ground and cover it up. Because they felt like, even though you took the animal and took it, they felt like it was sacred. That you still didn't desecrate it because you didn't kill it and just start stabbing. No, they looked at it's still sacred. It belonged here. You took some out of the ecosystem, and what they learned was put things back. They consider to be conservationists. A lot of cultures are like, they just didn't do it. Now, when you deal with America, what is it? We waste. We're going to play the food, take cups up, throw the junk in the trash. Nobody did. Man, my dad slapped the piss out of me coming there table this stuff like that. You'll lose every eye in your head. But what, he was like, throwing what in the trash? You ain't throwing no trash, you won't eat that. Then you wrap it up, you don't eat it later. But I ain't gonna want, it's stuff I ain't want. Listen, got hungry, you start tipping back through the kitchen. You'll eat some, you'll be surprised what you'll eat. You'll eat some lima bean. I hate a lima bean. Get hungry. You'll eat it. You'll eat a little pigtail. You say, I'm talking when you real hungry. Pigtail good. You got to be hungry now. You met around, you hot, man, I want that junk. Him guys said, let the nigga perish. And you get a time. You be surprised with you. Like, y'all remember that kid, they put stuff up, you come back. You realize you'll start nibbling off. You get a little bit, get a little bit, you be like, this ain't too bad. But when you feel like you got choices, then you can reject. The same way with Yahuwah. The reason why we really don't attach to him in the way, because we find we got choices. The world like we got, you can be whatever you want to be. You can join whatever you want. You can connect to whatever you want. But I try to look, for me, and this is me, I really try to look at the true source. You know, the belief about Yahuwah has never changed, about believing him and believe what he's a stricter for. It's just the fact that you have to go through so much stuff to examine so many things to try to see where you get certain things from, to see what makes sense when you're trying to put things together. And it's got to be practical, based off of culture, based off of how things are done, and look at trying to obtain salvation. Because that's the whole goal about believing. You have to believe, according to the 7th chapter book of Yucatan, you got to believe on him as the writings have said. Well, if it didn't say something, you believe it. Or if it didn't say something, or if it said something you don't know it said it, can you still be saved and you don't know it? So there are things we have to sit back and look. The fact that he sat them down, he went back over all of these things about the Torah with them to make sure there was no reason for error on these things. And yet people came along having direct writings and still came up in error. So now we start looking at with all the getting, even with digging back to get sourcing back the root words and getting the truth of words. It's not just getting the words, it's making sure we source back to us being who we're supposed to be. Because if it's just the word, none of these people should have been cut off. None of these people should have been cut off because they had it. Before anybody could come in and say, you never find any of them saying, man, somebody played with this book. Man, this ain't a word right here. We don't use this word. We don't have an I or an E. We don't find any right way anybody had an argument. We find problems with people keeping. Now we got on top of this where people have came back now. Everybody's been an interpreter. Everybody's been a narrator of the writings, and none of these people been us. That's what nobody looking at. Everybody feeding us. We ain't been none of the cooks. We just been eating. Everybody been cooking. We said, well, let me cook. No, don't you cook. Let everybody else cook and you just eat. We said, oh, this ain't fair. This ain't fair. How y'all get to do the cooking and the feed, and we just supposed to sit down and eat and take everybody to feed it? That makes no sense. And common sense just makes no sense. Especially when you look at it be different if your play has been fair. You can't fight fair. I don't care what color. Fair is fair. When it's been unbalanced, when it's been biased, then we have to start looking at we got to look at the person doing the feeding. We got to look at the cook. We got to come back. Just like we look at the Greeks saying, well, it's second law. But if that's not what they knew it as, and they can say, well, it's a simple, that's what they called it. But that's what I'm saying. That's what the Greeks call it. I'm not Greek. The writings weren't Greek writings. The writing were the writings about, it was the writings he had for his people. Make no mistake, it's open for everybody, but it came out first. You got to look at where was it originated to? Who was he originally talking to? Where were these people at? What was the culture? What was the knowledge of these people of Elohim? All these are important. No matter who does the interpreting, you have to source back what was going on. That's why we're going back, and we have to go back to look at all these writings because we're trying to find out what was his original intent. When they wrote in, let's see, that Bereshit 1:1. Just look at, no, I want you to look at it from, well, Bereshit, what it said, Genesis, let's see, just like with 1:1. I'm going to say, in the beginning, God made the heaven and the earth. One of the biggest arguments we have And, you know, based off of them using that writing of putting God, I know with me as a Christian, I argued that there was only one Elohim, and it is. He said the two were going to be one. But a lot of people's argument was the Muslims tried to say that it was more than one, as far as that was a plural statement. I remember a couple of Muslims saying that. I said it was retarded. I don't know where you got it. I was just capital. It was one God. I don't know how did you come up with no Muslim. They said, no, that's actually a plural statement. But I don't know how you would have picked that up from here unless you went somewhere else and you looked at it. Because based off of that, I never knew that was a plural statement till we started looking on. Then you look at Elohim is a plural statement. It's not actually a singular statement, but we know as he told us, the two should be one. So, I mean, we got to understand it to some things now, but these are things that a lot of churches have fought for years. Church of God fought, Church of God in Christ. A lot of these churches have fought for years about how many gods. Some teaches 3 gods. That's a God the Father, God the Son, and a God the Holy Ghost. Some say, no, it's only one God. Then some fight, no, it's only Jesus. It's only Jesus. And Jesus is God, and you don't have to worry about God because you got Jesus. And then some say, no, it's the Father. You know, he's just the Son, the Father who you go to. Have y'all heard anything? Y'all understand? This is what you look at. Intent, definitely, he has an intent. Everybody not going to be saved. That's just being flat. It's not going to be saved. And I'm not saying it's authority, but I just want everybody to sit down and consider how much stuff is out here. And we know that Elohim allows things to happen. So it allows me to say, you got to wake up and you got to look at everything. You got to watch everybody's hand. And again, you got to look at, you haven't been the cook, you just been the eater. Hello? So when you've been the eater, everybody else work. Everybody's gonna be, yeah. I mean, if just say I'm gonna cook you something, I'm gonna bring it to you. I just bring it here, you can just eat it. Now you don't know. I was scratching my behind out back down, and I dug in my nose. Now I told you, but you don't know that. You just sitting down eating, because I've been doing this behind closed doors, and I've been giving him 10 be. I'm okay now. You act like you dig it like you digging your nose. You finna cook. I'm not finna eat that. I'm good with eating if I scratch my behind and all that, but he rub on his nose, I'm not eating it because it's filthy. And that's how we've been put in the place of. We're filthy and nasty when we start looking at things saying, let's look at this. We want to cook. We want to handle this. No, it's already cooked. We handled it. So no reason for nobody to go back behind and check it. That makes no sense. When you've been the person that's been the dominant factor, you've been the person, you drew the pictures, you gave us all of the psychosis of it, and they told us our skin was a curse. That's that. So when you think about how many black people walked away from this religion altogether, what you do when you've been told you was a curse? You ain't read that from no book that told you your skin color was a curse. You was a curse because of your behavior. Everybody. But it was people, we were actually told at one time we was a curse. That you couldn't be. So it's like, why would you still keep trying to get into something that you've been told you can't get in? He don't favor you. Nothing in heaven look like you. You ever seen a Michelangelo them picture? Wasn't nothing dark on that picture. That man painted that on the ceiling to let you know clear. This is a picture of my family. They painted the 12 people, 15, 16 people at the table and called the Last Supper and they said that was him. And I mean, I think we had that picture on the wall. Yeah, my dad had that picture up on the wall. And we had that thing up there, and I never counted them people. I never had a reason to count them. How many of y'all remember that picture on the wall? How many of y'all never counted them? I ain't never counted. Why would you count it? It wasn't who else? It's just Jesus and his disciples. When you count that thing, you look, you say, hold on, I don't remember no women. But just looking at this is what he give you. You like, wow. And just show you how unconscious you are to things. Because think about, why would you have a reason to? Because they've done all the drawings. They've done all the scripting right. It's their language. So when it's given to you, it shouldn't be questioned. They're not going to let me get them in the African saying, this is white folk, not in African. And don't touch it. White people ain't going to buy that. They're going to say, well, it couldn't be ours. It come from Africa. That's what I'm saying when you give me something in English. It couldn't be mine. It come from England. That makes no sense. No other race is going to do it but us. And they're going to say, well, this is the word of God. This is you writing this. Because you're saying that your word is saying this is the second tour or the repeat of it. If that's not the name of it, all I want to do, I don't want to call it that if that's not the name of it. If you're saying that's what you want to call it, you need to script and say, as Greeks, this is what we say. Then I said, that's what Greeks do. That's not for me. I'm saying I'm Abari. I want to know what he said so I can just get back sourcing to the truth. Because even with our people, everybody plays. I don't want no black playing. I don't want no white playing. I don't want no Spanish playing. I don't want no Indian playing. I don't want no Chinese playing. Play with whatever you want to play with and just say, hey, man, this is me playing. Then I know how to handle it. Y'all got what I'm saying? If you making a mud pie, I don't want none. That's your mud pie. Yeah, that's your mud pie. You put much water, much dirt if you want to, because I ain't gonna, you can cut slices. I ain't finna argue about your mud pie. You make a mud pie, y'all remember it take you to cut a little piece. Y'all remember that making mud pie? Y'all used to cut the mud pie. Nobody cut the mud pie now. Everybody had a whole mud pie. That's all right though. You know what's gonna be bad? If we get in the mud pie, he said, the man asked y'all about the mud pie. You wanna fall short about the mud pie? Now who cut the mud pie? That's amazing. Now too late. Why take all that? Why you gotta threaten folks on who cut the mud pie? Well, that's all we want to look at. So, like stuff like that people don't feel like it's critical, and they can say, well, you know, it's not whoever ain't gonna get it. That's truthful, and things are done that way. But once our eyes are open, we become illuminated. Things we just want to make sure what things are, because at the end of the day, we want to be saved. But then you got to look at how many different missing pieces play a part. Okay? We'll go back now. Let's look at what I had y'all in Allah Hadabarim, and let's look at the words. Now, the Greek says the second law. That's what they call it. So now we know. I never looked up Deuteronomy, so I didn't know what it meant. But it's good to know what other people call it, so I need to know what he called and what other people call it. So I know if they're saying something, I know what you're saying. Mm-hmm. Y'all got it? You got to pass gas? Okay, you don't pay gas now? I finna say that. Hold on. How many of y'all know she paid gas or do she for it? That's amazing. Women, like my wife, that's air. I poop. So according to her, I fart. She has air. I say she farts. Women fart worse than men. Women fart and they will sit there and say nothing, act like something blow through a window. How many of y'all know these women will not admit they fart? Women are terrible about that, and y'all will not. And y'all need to tell it before you leave here. Because it's going to come up, it's going to be a whole line. All of y'all didn't admit y'all fart. Get over here. It's going to be a bunch of y'all. Be like, y'all could have told it now. Let's get it all out. All right, that's Allah Hadabarim. First chapter, I said verse 9. All right, let's see. Listen. I try to get y'all finished. Well, I do. I want to speak with y'all too, people. One and 9. All right, listen.
I spoke to you at that time, saying, I am not able to bear you alone.
Come on.
Yahuwah, your all, has multiplied you, and behold, you are the Yum like the Kukabim of Shamayim in number.
Mm-hmm.
May Yahuwah, the all of your aboth, increase you 1,000 times more than you are, and barak you, just as he has spoken to you.
Mm-hmm. So he barak you even more. Well, I mean, you think about, for them hearing that in the 10th chapter, 10th verse, back it down a little bit, in the 10th verse. And Yahuwah Elohim has multiplied you, and behold, you are today as the Kukabins of Shamayim for multitude. Hands. What were they supposed to remember? Zakah. Okay. All right, we'll just keep going there. Because he told Abraham that he was going to multiply them as the Kukabim. If they could number the Kukabim, he said they were that day, listen, or today, as equivalent to the Kukabim of Shamayim for multitude. Listen. And, I'm sorry, the Yahuwah?
The all of your aboth increase you 1,000 times more than you are, and barak you, just as he has spoken to you.
That he was going to multiply you over that number. That you weren't going to be able to count, you weren't going to be able to be counted because of multitude. So for me, I look at all these things as being confirmations for what our Abba had already heard, that they had already passed down to the Benin, which were going to come and give them their stability that we look at as the Amunah. Because if he's doing this, he look at now that Yum, he said, you are as, you're equivalent to. But now he said, may he number you even more than that you couldn't even be counted because it'd be so many. Although these might seem like small feats for some of us, all these things we look at, we use as in building up. You know what I'm saying? All these things more or less foster what we're trying to do. We're talking about like a foster meaning to build up something. So this is something we look at building up our armor because these are confirmations. When Elohim does certain things for us, we look to mark these as confirmations. You know what I'm saying? To what he told us to show the security or the surety of what he said he'll do. Because when he states something, it's for us to make sure we mark it, zakar, as to remember, which is a different than just remembering. To me, it puts just more of an emphasis on when you look at just marking. Let's see something. Let's see what remember says, and then let's look at zakar. So we just see how similar they are in meaning. How about that? Hello? Remember? Have in or able to bring to one's mind an awareness of someone or something that one has seen, known, or experienced in the past. Have in or be able to bring to one's mind an awareness of, okay, someone or something that one has seen, known, or experienced in the past. Okay. Let's say used to emphasize the importance of what is asserted. Okay, used to emphasize. So you can use something. You must remember that this is a secret. Okay, let's see zakar. Well, you look up remember, I guess, or you're going to find zakar. What do you do here? So as to recognize, okay, to mark as to recognize, to remember, okay, to mention, you put to be a male, zakar, I guess the name, okay. Well, I guess what I look at with this, which they are similar in the meaning, I guess just looking at them to put to mark. When you look at when they came out from Misraim, when they crossed over Yarden, they put down a bonds to mark certain areas. Even he told them about remove not. What was again? Because that marks certain things. Years ago, like I said, they would have things, they would put tiles. We talk about, do y'all remember that? They would say tile, a string on your finger to remember. So you look at now, people just say just remember or just keep. For us, we use the technique of just kind of keep reciting something, which is something you can kind of do to help remember, or we can mark something as to remember it. So different things, just like when Yahushua came along and he stated certain things or certain actions he did, and we kept them and we kept rehearsing them the way we were supposed to, it allowed us to identify, to know that was him. Just like we got to try to come back and try to look at reconciling ourselves by remembering, by recalling, by recanting different things to know this is actually what he told us to do, and this is the pattern he wants us to follow. I said, I think over a course of time, with everything we've dealt with, it has put us back. It's put us back. It's still a fight for what we have to do, trying to obtain salvation and trying to take where we can, still get to a place to where we have some quality of life is a reality for people of color and for other nations as well. It is. It's just to be honest. Like I said, other races can live comfortably and not have to worry about it. And we would like that same advantage to be able to sit down and don't have to worry about a down, having our life, worried about being executed, being taken, or losing our children. I mean, this is the same thing that happened before when they came out. He tried to tell them about it. They had a lot of fear about their little ones being taken. We've always had that, about the enemy coming in and taking their little ones and them being a prey. That was a fight that they worried about then. And he talked about when they were worried about it and them not keeping the word into the value of what it was, their little one that was a prey, he was going to wind up delivering and keeping, and they were going to be the people extinguished. So we still have that balance. Or while we're trying to worry about the kids, you still got to keep in place where you need to be. This is reality. This is a reality for people of color. Okay. Y'all don't have to believe it, but it's the truth. So, okay, let's go back over and look at what he was telling them. Musha. Okay. What's the 10th verse? 11th verse? Come on.
12.
What happened?
Verse
11th verse?
12.
Oh, we already read it. All right, come on.
How can I alone bear your load and your burden and your strife?
Uh-huh.
Choose for yourselves wise and discerning and experienced unashamed from your matah, and I shall appoint them as your Rosh. You answered me and said, the thing which you have said to do
Hold on
is
for a minute.
to.
Back it up again. Let me see something. Rick, he said, hold on, 12. How shall I alone be able to bear your labor, your burdens, and your gainsaying, which they're disputing? It says stripes, what you reading?
Yes, sir.
Okay, gainsaying. Take to yourselves, what is this? Wise.
And discerning and experienced unashamed from your matah,
For what reason?
and I shall appoint them as your Rosh.
As your leaders. See the 6th chapter book of Acts of the Shalakim. Acts of the Shalakim 6 and 1. Listen. He got asthma. That heat on? Come on, y'all think y'all got a little, what y'all got on? So I'm gonna put on 69. All right, listen then. Princess, you cold? She's got that mumbling body, that body temperature. Come on, listen.
And in those Yamim,
What happened?
as the Talmudim increased,
You said
there-
those days, what happened? They multiplied.
yes, sir. As the Talmudim increased, there came a grumbling of the Hellenistic Yahudim against the Abrim,
What happened?
on which their widows were being overlooked of their own, as they are undervalued during the daily distribution. The 12 summoned the multitude of the Talmudim and said, it is not desirable for us to neglect the debar of Elohim and serve the tables. Therefore, Akim, you examine from among you 7 unashamed, which was to reputation to them, full of the Ruach HaKodesh and wisdom, whom we shall appoint for this duty.
So if we can kind of see now, it makes sense of how they kind of looked at, how they set these men up, based off of how Mushal looked at it. The people had multiplied. They like the number had gone, and the people had become gainsayers. And he wanted them to pick them out wise, unashamed. Men that were prudent. He wanted to use these men to set them over the business so they could give themselves, they can consider. Mushal looked at it had become a lot of him. It had become a lot on him. So the reason why I guess I kind of went back to that from reading our Torah, we can kind of see how a lot of things start to play in the part of their decision making. Because here we had another situation where the people had strife, mumbling and grumbling about them. So now they're looking at getting people with the Ruach HaKodesh. He wanted people that were wise and discerning. What would have been their wisdom? The Torah. That's right, and keeping the Torah. He told her that was your wisdom in the sight of the other Goyim. That's the same thing we look at getting the Ruach HaKodesh. That becomes our wisdom in the sight of these other Goyim. That's why it's important for us to go back now. We're going to start reassessing how we do things, how we look at things, how we examine things, making sure we know how to halak, just like he told us. It's a simple thing, it would seem like, in walking, but it's a difference when you start to walk according to the way he told us. And you have to be mindful of, you have to remember, they never had an intent for you to walk right. They never had an intent for you to walk right. So now we had to come back. We're trying to make sure we're doing this thing exactly like he gave it. He told Mushal, see that you do all things just like after the pattern I showed you. Wow, that's tight. So that would make a reason why I wouldn't waste a lot of time with you, why I'd be so quick to move to kill you, because you've been shown how you ought to walk. You watch exactly how this was put together to be done, so there should be no reasoning for your error. So now you come back to look at why a lot of our errors have come in. Some have come in because our own self-gratification, our own ambitions, our own wants, our own likes and dislikes. A lot of things have played a part of why we've been off. Okay? I want us to be practical. You're going to be practical so we can get to realistic. Being realistic, we can look at why we've gotten off. It's been from our own things, what we desire and what we want, and how we think things should go, versus let's make sure we're doing it the way he told us. Well, Mushana, it makes sense for them not to err. When they get in the book from him, when they're getting that direction from him, it's coming directly from Elohim. Y'all got it? Mushah wasn't getting his information from Mizraim, then the Mizraim tell him this is what he said before them, and take this and take our word for it, and he intend for you to be right. You ain't got to worry about it. You can say that when it's your right and you're doing it, but for us, I can't take your word for it. Hello? What do y'all bank get? Do y'all bank call y'all on the phone and tell you how much money y'all got? They send out a statement. Do they show you? Do they just show you the balance, or they can show you the transaction so you can examine and look at? You can say, ho. I didn't make this transaction. I don't know who. Somebody got my card, or they just send you the balance. Transaction. That's all we want to say. Let us see the transactions. I got the balance. I know what the balance is. At the end of the day, he ain't gonna win. Let me just go back and see these transactions. Because sometimes you go back and look at some transactions, you can see where your numbers might be off a little bit. You can find when some were taken out that shit, your bank will make a mistake. Your bank will hit you 2 times. Hey, y'all, how many of y'all done found your bank to hit you more than something? You say, ho. And they had to go back and realize, okay, we can correct that. Yeah, but had I not seen it, I wouldn't know how to correct it. And then I compare it against what I know I've done. I know these dates. I know there's no way. I wasn't even there. Ain't that right? Kalamazoo, Missouri. So, no. And where the Kalamazoo is in what, Michigan? Yes, sir. I ain't been there. That thing said I was up there partying all night. Look, not me. I know it wasn't me. You know, this car was stolen. So it's just things that you can go back and you can examine and see. That's what we're trying to look at with the word. We're trying to go back and see what actually fits. Y'all got it? Okay. Well, let me make sure. Okay, we go back over what we had. We'll see if that 1 and 7 go up a little bit in that all our hot dabarim. Oh, that's it. 1 and 7. Listen.
Turn and take your journey and go to the hill country of the Amorites and to all their neighbors in the Arabah, in the hill country and in the lowland and in Nigba, and by the...
What you talking about? You said nigga. Did you say nigga? What you say? I never called you a nigga, Chris. That hurt me. What you said, nigga?
Nigib.
Where you said that? That's someone now.
Yes, sir.
That's called Nigba should be south.
Negeb. Yes, sir.
Nigba should be
Negib.
south.
Negib.
Who said south? That's what I said. Nigba is south. Southphone should be north. Southphone should be north. T-S-A, P-H-O-N. Southphone should be north. I think it's T-S-A, P-H-O-N. It's the Southphone. Southphone should be north. Kadeem, east. And west is Yam. Just like Y-A-M, Yam. It has more modern, it got 3 other words because as they continue on, they have a modern version of it. Which one? Yam for the west, Y-A-M. Kadeem, probably gonna do it as Q. And then, what you call that? The colon, whatever that thing is, that a semicolon? What that thing is, then D-E-E-M, Kadeem. Or it might be Q-A-D-E-E-M or Q-A-D-Y-M, Kadeem, depending on how they're going to spell it. South should be Nigva or N-E-G-E-V.
B.
B?
That's what they have here.
I think they got a V in the other one. Probably on enunciation. It's that north quarter. Okay, northern side, word, wind. Okay. Oh, you put it up. I didn't know he put it up, though. Okay. So I didn't know he was checking behind me. I thought y'all believed me. If I was white, y'all wouldn't have done it. That's crazy, isn't that right? I should have said King James. Y'all never quit. Y'all to put it down there. I didn't know that y'all was checking behind me for real. Oh, that's what you gonna call it. That's a lot of stuff. Then put your baby picture. They can take a picture, put in the thread. Y'all seen that baby picture? Man, that joke was showing enough homeless. I'm glad we got you on this side. I told it like, hey, mom, y'all remember them little things you have, your grandma have? You shake it up in that snow and let it fall down.
That's right.
They like, why would you take your baby, shake him, and throw him on the pillow and snap the picture right quick? What happened? How you piss your mom out of that bed and shake you up real quick? Tap you know how you buy that new outfit for your kid? And you shake him up and it ring and the buttons were torn on it? And he had like one little chest hair on there on a baby. That's sick. A baby with one chest hair. Y'all don't think that's sick?
Yes,
That's
sir.
disgusting. She should have clipped it with some seals. It was curly like a pig. It stuck out about that far. And then she would degrease it where it let out and it hang down over here navel. How many of y'all think that's disgusting and you want to make it the male cool? That's disgusting. Why would you grease one baby hair down to your baby navel? All right, let's see. All right, listen. All right, turn you and depart. Oh, we already read it, okay. And okay, in the mountain, in the Har, in the plains to the Negev, and the land of the China. Was it this? The China was probably who? The Canaanites.
Canaanites.
All right. Which part is going to be with the double H? Argumentative, because you look at there, they're saying the double H, which makes sense. Everybody talking about the double H does make sense and make the hocking sound. The double H versus the CH sound. But then again, you're dealing with people coming back saying, okay, the enunciation is more of a CH. But if you did a double H, it would be like a hacking, like a hock, a hock, a hock. I don't think CH is going to give you no hock sound. You can't get a CH out of a hock sound out of a CH, can you? Hello? I have English people here, they all know CH. Nobody know, not no hock. You can't get it from a CH. So the double H will probably make sense if you put the double H making the sound of the hock versus the CH. But the main thing, if you get the meaning, near the
in Lebanon and as far as the great Nahar, the Nahar Euphrates.
Mm-hmm. So now you got to ask yourself something about telling them to turn and take their journey. And this is something we have to do now. We have to turn and take our journey. Because the truth of the matter, we've been in there way too long.
Yes, sir.
Be honest. We've killed a lot of time on a lot of different things that we've dealt with and we've done. And now it's time for us to really kind of focus ourselves to aligning to make sure we get this thing right, to really go back. Because we got to look at, I think what's good for us, going back and look at where the errors have started. I'm talking about for the forefathers. We still got the writing errors, but then we still got to go back and look at the forefathers. Where exactly did they break go? Was it interpretation? Did they understand what words meant? That they weren't, what was it? What are we actually thinking? The law. That's how important it is to make sure we get these hearts right. And to get these hearts right is to make sure we get things out of them. And we have to be practical about every situation, everything we're doing. We got to be honest about where we at. That's the only way we're going to get to where we got to go. There's no more time to lie to ourselves about nothing, to make up nothing, to pretend that life is too short all the way around. None of us can afford watching, sitting in here, can afford to leave here and not be where we need to be. You know, people look at the importance of why these words. I look at if these are the words he spoke, they play a vital importance for me. Even if they come out to be English exact, it's still the words he used. And I need to know what he said. I want to embrace him on every end. From what he says to what he does. You even think about when he talk about, with English, there's certain words you could say in this argument, like some might say potato, potato, depending on how you look at it or what you say. But then even with Shaul talked about what things that we said, them distinguishing between. There's a distinguishing in what we do. Just like him, there's a distinguishing between him. He said, except they give a distinctive sound that you wouldn't know. So that's the thing that we're trying to make sure that we catch. And I'll be honest, the Abari language is definitely with some complexity because we look at English as what we've been taught, what we've been dealt. I won't say we've been basically told English because a lot of things we didn't really comprehend, or we don't really comprehend to the whole matter, because English is a borrowed language, so it's got some Greek disciplines. That's how you got a lot of other things you got. It's not completely just English. It's English with some Roman, it's English with some Greek, it's English with some other vernaculars involved with it as well. That has just kind of been served to us versus looking at when you come down to the Abari, as I believe, it's just a plainer way of doing things to where it's something that you can compare in your everyday life. Y'all got what I'm saying? From tools they use, understanding the significance of them, or the tools they use, how everyday living played a part in their discipline for believing. Y'all got what I'm saying? We even talked about, and I talked about before, like the olive, being able to take the olive and construct a house, you know what I'm saying, a bed, a place to come and stay. And now when you come in and you look at it, and you're looking at being able to come and cohabitate in something after it's moot. And then you're getting life inside of it. You're getting the warmth, you get the protect. What you get when you get home? You're like, when you come home, what do y'all do? How many of y'all keep on all your clothes? Some of y'all coming, first time I'm going to kick, I'm going straight on, I'm kicking my shoes off. How many of y'all like that? And you know why that is? Because you're comfortable. You're in a place where you feel like there is security here. You know what I'm saying? I'm safe. I don't have, outside, I need to keep, I don't know when I'm going to have to run. I don't know when I don't want to step on that. It's a lot of variables that happen. When I get home, it's stuff, I don't have to worry about that. And then having that, it gives me to understand when he's talking about coming and dwell on him and all these things I don't have to worry about, because I'm in a place of security. I'm in a place where, where all of this is more than viable. It supports it. You got what I'm saying? Versus the way we were done and things we're told, we never really compared it with our everyday living. These people, from tools they use to taking the wheat, and when they took the wheat and they beat the wheat, but what was beating the wheat for? Because they hated the wheat? What were they beating the wheat for? So what now? So we're trying to get the very precious things from it. So then you think about this from Christianity. And I mean, again, I just didn't question. You got to be chastened. You got to be beaten. Does this really something that you want to tell a Negro? And you want to tell him, this is how you're going to be saved. See, the Lord got to beat you. You thinking beat, associate with slavery. That did not help me. That beat us to death to kill us. So when you kind of get these things that you're comparing it with, it's like this is not a good comparison for a Negro, so-called Negro. But when you look at the wheat, you're looking at what he's actually trying to do when you beat the wheat. You're trying to get the precious part of it, and you're using it to separate. And now he tell you now with the chastening. So when he tells me about him chastening me and beating me, I'm comparing the wheat and not with my oppression. But before we understand culturally how they do it, can we show the clip of how they do the wheat right quick? I mean, it's important for that, but just think, people don't realize, you're teaching a book, you tell black people, if God don't beat you, you can't be saved. The Lord got to beat you, child. He got to whoop the mess out you. Niggas somebody think like, what kind of, now, when you ain't conscious, you thinking, yeah, but you thinking, are you serious? But because of how things are done, they didn't know how to explain it to us culturally, where we look at how we did the wheat. So it makes sense. You got it? Because a lot of time when you compare it with your suffering and how things are done with you, it's hard to see it for salvation. Let's see. They got a quick one? Oh, beat the wheat. Please don't put beat the meat. Please don't do that. Please, I got kids. I got my mama here. Please don't. If you put, please, man, my mama here, don't do that. Please don't. I got to dive over there and pull my mama's eyes out. Hey, y'all ever seen Kings and Queens before? How many of y'all seen Kings and Queens? I'm talking about seen it. I ain't talking about no flip through no episode one time. Did y'all see the episode when Doug went to the wedding? How many of y'all already know what I'm talking about? Doug went to the wedding, and Doug wanted to do something fun. He probably took a picture here behind him. He took a picture of his pickle with a little cap on it. And he put in the pictures, and he thought they got there, they were going to be laughing, and the couple came down and opened the pictures up with the whole family. And his mama pulled the picture. He was trying to get it. His mama seen that picture. She said, oh, my God. She said, I can't take my eyes off. He said, oh, God, make her blind right there. So, yeah, don't do that to me. All right, let's see this. Look at this. Now this, And you have to do stuff like, again, you got to look at the culture of people that you're talking to your teacher. Even though this is somewhat similar, this is necessary. This not just, I see you better laughing. This is, he like tear him up. But I'm saying, but for me, y'all gonna judge, do you associate this with slavery and watching this? See, now, if I explained it to you as, you know, I just kind of, you know, saying the Lord got to beat you. You got to be beat. He got to drive that devil out of you. You thinking that's the same kind of slave talk. So it's going to be hard for you to connect it to your spirituality, your ruach part and understanding. But for this, you see that in order to get this grain, which is what now, and this is important because that beating got the precious part. And guess what? He did this for a separation. He separated. Now you no longer see it. Y'all see what I'm saying? Now you no longer see the other part. He had to do this now to separate. Now what else is significant about it, this is what he's going to take into his barn and keep. The thing that he had it attached to, he's going to take that and he's going to burn it because there's no use for it. So now we understand the strict chastening of Yahuwah. It ain't necessarily physically beating you. It's the events he allow you to go through that cause you to realize, man, you got to separate, whether me and my wife, me and my kids, other situation, it could be me and my mother, because just like he just did, where he just physically beat in order to separate. You got to remember, how long has that wheat been attached to that stalk? What, a couple of minutes? So now, how's someone get them away from it? I'm just going to walk up to the wheat and say, leave wheat. Come on, wheat. That wheat, I'm attached. I just can't leave. Guess what? So now he has to use this formula. This is the formula we use in order to get the wheat away from the chaff, to separate it. So now we understand what looked like a hard, cruel situation was used to get it to a purest point where it can be used. We use the same critter, use me, Lord, use. Well, I can't use it till I separate you. Now, of course, I'll do this, come out from among them, be separate, but you ain't gonna do it. He could have walked through that farmer could have went right through that corn, that wheat field, come out from among them. Separate yourselves. Let it go. Let it all go. Come on so you can save yourself. What that wheat was going to do? What was it going to take to get that wheat away? So what is it going to take to get you away from what you connect to? They're holding you back. You're going to be chastised. You have to suffer something. See, but this, you can understand this. You can preach a message unless you saying something. Look, that look cruel. Come on. Him beating you, but look, to get it to its purest point. So now he said, despise not the chastening of Yahuwah, neither faint when thou art rebuked. Because whom Yahuwah ahar, he do what? Whom he ahar, he chased. And scourge every being, every one of these stalks, he gathered, he put in, because he wants that fruit. He wants, like I said, the husband waited for what? He's been waiting on that to develop so he can separate it. And this is what's used to get us to understand salvation, being joined to him. Those people dealt with this yearly. Look at this. None of that stuff will fall. That's how hard it is to separate you from what you love. That's how hard it is to break you away from stuff. You say, I don't want no man yelling, screaming at me. I don't want no man all in my face. Just tell me what I got to do. Just if you going to make as much effort to get away as that wheat was away from that stalk if you just talk to it. It ain't going nowhere, and you ain't either. Not until he beat you, till he put you in a situation that caused you to realize, I got to break ties, I got to separate, because I got to be saved. People, let me tell you something. Don't believe these people. They say, and they're going to be saved, they're going to keep what they got. It ain't going to happen. It's not going to happen. As much as you can try to run family, run people through a practice. And I don't say that, listen, most high willing, y'all be able to keep your kids and all of them stay and go. But I just tell you what, set your law. Set your law. I never would have thought I lost my baby girl. I never would have thought I lost her. You do. We brought him, all my kids, my boy stayed. Bryce, he ran off twice, but he come on back. You let him out there, he come on back. Think he owed me some money, so don't be too happy. But anyway, you just never know. When you had to say, when I lost my baby girl, we were coming to service. We went on her trying to find where she was. You know, I still had to come to service and teach that night. What y'all think my mind was thinking? We were sitting around here like, where this girl at? And it was her birthday. We like, where's she at? We running late. We called her. She answered the phone. She stuck a phone in the mailbox. Did she text who? She texted him and told him she was gone. She was 18 and expect her decision. And I wanted to go get her and break her neck. I just came on the server. I had the time. I said, come on the server. I did not go to get her. I sent Austin up that next day to the school. She came out there to him. He said, Daddy want that key. He said, I guess she thought I was coming to get her. He said, Daddy want that key. That was it. Left way. It was hard. That's your child. But y'all understand, all that was to see where you at. What I was going to say, don't show up. He understand I need to get her and bring her back and mess around. I've been out there with her. I'm telling y'all something. Let me tell y'all something. Y'all, a lot of times, y'all really don't know what this going to push you to and what you got to do. It pushed you in the end. I had to get corrected too. I had to be corrected too. Everybody be corrected. Because that's all a form of who you are. He got to make sure that my law ain't so lifted where you can't take no correction. Because that's dangerous if I can't take correction. That's dangerous if you can't take it. That's dangerous if you can't separate from something. When you come down to the end of the day, why you separate? Because when it comes out of your soul salvation, I'm going to be honest with every one of y'all. Make no mistake, it's critical. Every one of us got to be tested because you just don't, you will think you're okay because things are working for you right now. He'll put you in a situation where that don't work and you still got to keep all the mandates. You still got to keep, you in your mind you dealing with, whew, that's a lot. But this is the law. And he look at, this is the law. You trying to, okay, and you trying to feel like, I got to deal with this, how people looking, what people thinking. You got all that, you human. And I'm going to tell you that when it comes down to your salvation, you get pushed to the other end. Just like that there. He said, listen, everything that held on to them stalks, you ain't going to believe it. He prayed for it. He kept the stalks. So just in case one of them kernels want to fall off later. But wouldn't it feel good to know that, don't it? Just know he just held a couple of them stalks. Because let's just be honest, you think every one of them stalks, every one of them weed let go? And he ain't going to believe it. He not even worried about them. Because that's what you love, you hold on to it. Because I'm going to burn you with it. Do y'all understand? This is such a crucial way you get tried. Everybody saying, everybody say they want to be saved. You will be pushed. You will be proven. You will be tested to show whether or not you're a harbor. You have to be a laughing stock sometimes. You got to be embarrassed. You got to be made a spectacle. You ain't going to believe it. What you think them folk did when Husha was sitting there getting slapped? Everybody was on their knee praying. Can y'all see that everybody praying? Those folk were laughing. This the same man running around his mouth, what all he can do and he going to build. And the man saying getting slapped. I knew he wasn't there the whole time. You know how many people, you think about that. I can't help y'all. You need to help yourself before you try to help somebody else. He was a man. What y'all think he probably said, that stuff on. He probably said, you know what? That junk like water on a duck back. That don't bother. Yeah, he probably was like that. Man, to cry. Man, will hurt. That man told you who asked him, why did you forsake me? Now, if he came from Elohim, if he was put through and he asked why the Elohim forsaken, I'm going to do better than him. That's hard. But now, this is what I got to do. I got to take what he went through, make that a model for me, and don't even push it at the end. He never forsook me. I'm building off of what he established. It's never end for me to ask him why he forsook me. Because I look at, he showed me, this is how you'll think. And I'm going to show you, I'm going to bring this man back. You should never ask me that. I should never question it based off of this man and watching that man's perseverance. But I got to be real with myself. You are human beings. Your situation is real. Nobody can tell you your plight. Nobody can tell me what I've gone through, how I feel, or what we've done as a race. That's crazy. I know what we go through and what we suffer. And at the same point, we still got to embody salvation. With every injustice, with every discrimination, with every police shooting, with every child kidnapped, killed, murdered, with every vaccine shot, with every false incarceration, mass incarceration, we still got to be focused on salvation. Ain't nobody got it harder than us. Nobody. It's not possible. So you have to balance the line to where you got to look at, it takes all of this to make sure he's stricken us all the way down to make sure it's no more us keeping us from doing what he said. We are one of our biggest problems. We are one of our biggest problems because every race got their own issues or things they do. Every one of them do. Everybody do. And to everybody, their situation is most important to them. At the end of the day, salvation trumps everything we are trying to do. And you got to be practical with yourself, and you got to deal with that. You got to wrap that out, and you got to deal with it and make sure that he told that no man take your crown. That no man, no issue, no situation come in and say, I'm persuaded, shall say, that nothing shall separate me from the harbor Elohim. Nothing. Nothing. Height, depth, things present or things to come. He said, I'm persuaded that nothing is going to separate me from the harbor Elohim. And these are the things we practically have to do. And I want to tell this because I know financially it's discouraging. It's if I can just get this done, then I can stay focused. And guess what's going to happen? I'm going to be practical with you. This ain't going to get done. Why would Satan at all want to see you get that done? If you got that done and you can stay focused, what that mean for him? He just lost one. Okay, I'm just being practical. That makes sense. This is the same thing, whatever you want to be called, a man, a ruach, whatever, ruach, a spirit. This is the same one that told Yahuwah concerning Ehud. If you remove their heads from around him, this man will curse you. This man will do it. If you take that hedge from around him, this man will curse you. Y'all hear that? Okay. He even attacked his health, didn't he? Wow. You know, it said we beheld Yahushua. He was stricken. You do know about Yahushua, right? But he was supposed to curse him to his face. Can you imagine going through that? See, this is something I want y'all to think about. What we got to deal with. We are on this journey based off of readings. You're on a journey based off of readings. Y'all got me? Yep. You having to deal with what you deal with, which is a reality, based off of readings. Y'all understand that? That is one of the most hardest fight people have today. And when you're dealing with something that ain't in that book, you take that book. You got right here that got a book. You take that book right here and you read it. You looking. If I haul off and I slap the piss at you, your man gonna keep reading that book. No, his mind gonna run from that book so fast. Him and that book coming at me. That's practical. And I will only be doing that because I will be an instrument to be used to see whether or not he can stay focused. Can he ground himself back down and stay focused on the bigger mission? Y'all got it. And that'd be reality. And he gonna be dealing with that. It's gonna take probably a good minute, week or two, probably for him to get himself back together and get back down and say, okay, I see why I lost it at. You know what I'm saying? But the immediate is this is instant. Everything he reading now, that's gonna happen. Even though we know the world finna end, probably any day we see it, we ain't never seen it, you ain't gonna believe when it seems like. That's about another 100,000 more years. Because problems will come in and make you feel like, man, that you might as well just let it go. And that not finna happen. You might as well just give up. Ain't nothing happened for you yet. I know, because things will come at you like that. Things will come and attack you like that and make you want to quit and make you just stop and let go. But I'll just be honest, I just ain't seen nothing come in and make me let this thing go. I'll be lying to you if I told you I did. I ain't seen a woman. I sure ain't seen no man. I ain't seen a boy and I ain't seen a girl. I ain't seen a dog. I ain't seen a cat or a puppy. I ain't seen a goldfish. I ain't seen a turtle that made me let this thing go. That's all I got. But I want to talk to you. I want to be practical. I hadn't always been there. It took everything I went through to get me to a point of realize I know I can't do that. One thing on the table I know I can't do that out there no more. That's the only reason I'm here, honestly. If I could do that out there, I'll be gone. Y'all want the truth? If I could do what I used to do out there, I'll be gone. I'll be gone. But I already know I can't do that no more. I ain't know, when I tell y'all that, where I need to be here and where I got to be here, I ain't got no doubt about it. I can't do that no more. No matter what comes, I can't. Can't. Went through too long, fought too hard, cried too many times, struggled too long. I couldn't do that no more. That's why I'm here. Now, while here, you can get comfortable. For all of us to say, well, I ain't fornicating, I ain't committing adultery, I ain't drinking and smoking, I ain't lying and doing the things I've been doing out there, but then you still look at, there are things now, these are first principle things you have to stop. Now you got to get in dealing with things in here that you didn't deal with. Because you didn't realize just like the adultery, the lying, the fornicating, it's other things, and it all proceeds from in here. The love of, the comfort of, being able to hide, being hid. Ain't nothing like having a secret or being able to do something hidden. It's like even the book declared, I think in the 12th chapter, 9th chapter of the book of Marshall Lee, when the woman told us that stolen waters are sweet and bread eaten in secret are pleasant. He said, the book said, but he knoweth not that the dead are there. That's what she told her. She said she slipped on her way and she catch men that go by that lack understanding. And what she tells them that stolen water is sweet and bread eaten in secret is pleasant. He told him before, he said, whoever turned into it is simple. So I've regarded a lot of things to look at. These are things I don't struggle with. They're not a fight for me. I'm not interested because I already know I'm not finna get a woman that's 2 minutes and mess that girl whole life up like that and she be way up there and exhausted. Look at Smith, she's still gone. See that I'm still trying to keep her down. But no, and it ain't me being better than nobody. It's things I don't want to ever go back to do. I put away out for myself. But now I have to go back and look at what else is on the inside of Tony Smith that I got to put away too that I don't ever want to go back to. Because you can get yourself now with, I ain't committing fornication, I ain't committing adultery, I ain't drinking, I ain't smoking drugs, and that's enough to be saved. Because that Christian gets you stop drinking, you saved. You stop whoremongering, you saved. That's how people, how many of y'all that was pretty much some of the principles for Christianity? That was the principles. And people sold for it. Then you don't realize you can have some indignation in your heart. You have some hatred and strife in your heart. You have some malice in your heart. You have some covetousness in your heart. It's stuff you can have in your heart. It just saying, and now you're fooled because you feeling like I ain't doing that, so I'm so much better than everybody else. But there's some other things you have in your heart. That makes sense for y'all? So what we're going to look at doing is just like we read, he told her, turn and take your journey. We've been in this way too long. And we're going to start looking at what we can come back and what we can repair, what we can fix, and what we're going to have to scrap. Sometimes you do it. If a house flood or something catch on fire, my house caught on fire. You didn't believe it. I went through and the stuff I could keep, I kept it. The rest I just let it go. Now everything that was in the house was mine. So I wanted all of it. But when it came down there was burned, I just took what I could salvage. The rest I just left it. No matter how much I cared about it, I couldn't use it. So that's how we're going to start looking at things. We're not going to be able to keep everything. At the end of the day, if you're really serious about your salvation, now is going to be your best time to do it. Because we're going to go through and make sure we get this right. The Hayward and them had a scare today. They'd take Jordan to the hospital and had some chest problem and look at Yahuwah and return him back to it the same day. Not a week later, not a year later, a month later, not an intensive care. Brought him back. I remember one day we was here after Shabbat. Some of y'all were here. We was in him. Back then I used to sing then. I ain't sing, I sang back then. And I seen folk moving that way and they were taking Ian out there to the hospital. I got through, they said, Ian ain't an ambulance. I said, an ambulance? I'm like, we was in here singing. From now he was laid in there. We had to rush down the hospital. Y'all remember that? How many of y'all went? We was at Eggleston. And we was in there. They took me up there in that top room up there. That boy was in there. They had them fight. First I seen folks sitting in jump flight suits in the heart. They was sitting here. Them jokers had on, I thought them jokers were military. I'm trying to figure out why were they in here. They were waiting to fly him straight out there. He cold. They were flying him straight out there to another hospital. And I went over there and plowed for him there, just rubbed his leg and just told him, I say, be all right. You know, I talked to Yahuwah. I was good with me and Mr. Yahuwah where I was with it. And, you know, and a few days later, Ian was up, come on back down. We didn't know how it was going to go, but he worked it out, didn't he? He worked it out. You know, we had to realize how it went. Yahuwah gave, Yahuwah take it away. And, you know, you'll think, why he kind of had to have him, he'd been on the football field, why he in the club? You could be right here somehow. So it teaches us, like, we get in the play, we feel like just being in the place is enough. Because we hear things still happen prone, because he need to just check us every now and then. I just got to make sure you still in that same place with me. You'll be surprised. Let me tell you something, that's all about. When things get to going too well, you get comfortable. Okay, I'm just trying to tell y'all, when things go too well, you get comfortable. Some folks be like, man, like stuff always coming. It's like it's always something. You know what some always coming and some always something do? It make you keep considering. Let me tell you something. I keep like a collage of stuff going. I'm talking about all the time. You'd be like, whew. But if it wasn't for that, would I still be able to keep my mind? Would I still be able to keep my mind on it? They do. I wake up early a lot of times. Don't do it. I tried it one day I got up. That's why I don't send out no early. I be wanting to send out early morning. They just send out, it'd be like 4, 3 something sending. Then I said, Chanel might be up. But I remember one time, man, I had text something. I on Twitter, I had text something early in the morning. I texted, my phone started ringing. I said, soon as that thing, I said, something must have happened. I tell you was asleep. I said, hello? She said, yeah, Rob, I seen you was up. I said, I was not up. I said, listen, I can sleep, you know, because I want to go back to sleep. You know what I'm saying? I like, you know, you got to use that camera. And she cut, I said, maybe sleep for a minute, right? She said, no, she ready to talk. She said, I see you was up, you was on Twitter. I said, we won't be doing that no more. Right? Let me just stay asleep at that point. But really, I do, it's like infrequent. But whenever I get up, I'm always plow. Whenever I'm up. Sometimes I wake up, but I'm going to tell y'all that. Let's just go with that. Just say it like I be asleep the whole night. That way, because somebody say, I feel like he might be praying, let me call. But that's why I'm sending that early morning out no more come. You don't never know which one of y'all are here. Listen, if some of y'all already, let me tell you something. I'm just telling y'all about y'all. I do a 2 minute, maybe 15, 30 second, plow. Sin. Amen. I don't even respond. I said, there's no way I just hit sin. Listen. Amen. I said, there's no way. Someone said, I already know it right. You know what I'm going to do? I'm just holler, your mama. And said, why they go? Amen says, I said, I know they went. I just hit your mama and just put it. Well, amen said, I knew it. I got him. All right, let the palow come on through and make sure. How many of y'all been get just went on hit the amen? That tight. You listen to the old one.
Yeah, since you were late sending out.
How you send out an amen when they ain't even palow yet? She talking about, I listened to the old one. Now you know what you just did? You just created some more. They gonna holler. That's what I had did. You were late. And by the time you sent yours, I was amen in the old one. That's a good one. You just gave some folks some covers in him. But we gonna work on that, y'all. We gonna work on Yahuwah be our help. We gonna work at going back, trying to get completeness. And completeness is getting all your gaps out. Little thing we had that's gapping us. Other thing we got that been kind of putting us in disarray. Other thing we're gonna work to get this stuff out. Y'all see with the words we put them away. And ain't nothing wrong with the word, yeah, but it's more serious now that we need to look at focusing on what we need to make sure we get right with our salvation. That ain't that more important than that. We don't want to lose focus on somebody look at the words more than they looking at the word. Y'all got it? We don't want nothing. Yes, sir. No, people just did what they wanted. People just did what they wanted anyway. Cause I told y'all not to, but anyway, that's for me. That's for me. That's me repent. I repent. Because my end is for everybody. I want to be more focused on y'all salvation than anything. I mean that. And that was for me to get correction, because y'all had to see me get correction, because you had to get it. How many of y'all done had to get correction for me? Then how about, well, I had to get correction too. I had to get it. If I don't get it, then you'll wind up being a part and I won't. That's how it worked with Yahuwah. He said that all of the Ketuvim were given by him inspiring it, and it was profitable for doctrine, for reproof, and for correction, for instructing and doing right. He said so that Isha Elohim can be complete. So everybody got to be right. Not just y'all, I got to be right. Y'all got it? So we do that, so we're making sure we all stay focused to the main agenda of what we got to do. Let's make sure we're saved. It's still an issue. I'm still a believer. There needs to be a government separate. I just feel like if it is, it could be me, that if we can put everybody, this is me. If you can make people where, or make systems where, let people govern themselves and people do business. That way, I don't want to be over nobody. I don't want to see if I can rule over you. I'm not interested. I'd rather just serve you who I do. I just feel like one of the reasons why we have so much wars and fighting, because everybody trying to run everybody. And you don't know what's best for everybody. Just stop it. There's not no one, I don't believe that. You don't. Because it's culturally with things that's the issue. Y'all saw they looked at even them people were murmuring about feeding them people. People just don't do well a lot of times. Just let people govern themselves. And not when I say, no, I'm not just let folks go. Let Chinese people govern. And for what I'm saying, that let there be a government for them for their protection. Let there be one for the black. Let it be for every. So now everybody just be fair. You come to the table, me and you we men. We just men. We fair. It ain't no, I can take you or we can take you or you can take. No, why we just can't be human beings? Why we just can't be, just do right. If somebody do wrong, if among our people, all our people got to take them, let's take them somewhere and kill them. Nobody shouldn't get away with it. I'm going to run the count. Yeah, I just got through killing some white babies. You don't. You dead. We done with you. I just went and killed a Chinese person. How you kill them? I took a string and tied it around their eyes and blindfolded them and made them drive a car for clip. You know, this is wrong. It's wrong to take a piece of thread and tie around a Chinese person's eye and they can't see. And we don't want that. Right? Somebody, I got that from Justin. No, but so yeah. So, but I am. I just be honest. I am. I just think if we did it, people could just. Why people just can't this? And we know sin plays a part, but just why people just can't let everybody just let people be? I'm just a believer. People can do it. Why you just can't leave people alone? Let people govern themselves. Let people do, and we just all do business. Let's just be able to do business. You come in the store, whatever you do, you be fair. You got to, listen, if somebody want to put up there on the sign, no crackers, that's fine, don't go. Hurt the business. And people who don't agree with the sign, don't go either. Let's see how long your business stand. Let them do, listen, you ain't got to pay no law to go stop nobody there. That's your business, that's your store. You don't want nobody in it? No nigga. Why I'm trying to fight and march to go in your store? Keep your store. Build your own. That don't make no sense. I don't think you should be. Why would you waste up your time marching to get in somebody's store? That like black folk. You don't want me in here. I don't care what paper nobody says. I don't want to eat from it. What you going to do to the food? Is that law going to make you stop spending that food? Think about it. Hey, when y'all were back then, you remember the march of going in them stores, trying to get in the white stores and eat. Do you remember the marches during that time? Or you weren't a part of it, you don't know nothing about it? Black people weren't marching the so-called, they tried to go and get in a white establishment where they were saying niggas weren't allowed, blacks weren't allowed. You don't remember that? You don't remember none of them stores? So you ain't never seen the movie Life. Where you at, huh? Who teach you? No, so you never was a part of no march or nothing like that. So that night when Dr. King got shot, man, you eating that sausage sandwich. Do you want finna go out there now? I thought I seen Dr. King that night. I remember we were eating that sausage. I was like, Dr. King was shot. I remember that. I called you that word back then. Yeah, it seemed like it was. Because you heard it on the radio, right? You listened to the radio. Yeah, I remember. I was listening to it. You eating the sausage sandwich. What you were eating that night when Dr. King got shot? You were eating the sausage. I remember burping the sausage sandwich. I remember the radio playing. They said, news just in. Dr. King got shot. Oh, have a dream. And that was it. And he had fell out. I remember, I said, oh, man, Dr. King got shot. He was asleep. All right, how y'all think I remember this stuff? You'd be surprised where I've been. But anyway, we going to work on that, and we're going to work on fixing this, and we're going to work on qualified young people. And I missed all y'all that were missing. No, we missed y'all. You missed a long. It wasn't you who was sick. You was sick. You be the kid. You was sick. Why he look at you like, he wasn't putting on me, but I'm telling you. He looking like, I'm saying Big Ken, I heard him sniffing too right now. No, mess with him. But now we get it. I miss all y'all. I miss all 20 of y'all pinkers too. Y'all got, how y'all feel y'all got 2 pews? There's no family we know on the earth that has 2 pews. Do y'all know any family that take up 2 pews? Okay, it's 2 of y'all. Take up 2 pews. I wanted 6 kids. You remember that, Smitty? Then she gave out. She didn't have enough eggs. I wouldn't have went far as y'all would. I was cut off for them. I know when to stop. You know, I started drinking. Boy, I made another kid. Listen, once I got past 6, Danny, you should have started drinking. Danny better at least I was drinking. You should stop. You need to quit drinking now. Woo. Did you think about it? Did you ever used to drink? You need to now. It ain't no Sam. Ain't that right? Ain't that right? You make 9, 10 kids, you need a drink. Ain't that right? Like, in the country called a grant. You need a grant. All right, that's 2. I appreciate it. Appreciate y'all. I don't know y'all got to get. Oh, good. Man.